Welcome back to the channel, Vinyl Community, and if it's your first time, a special welcome to you. So here we are, we're in April 2023, and quarter one is over. And it made me wonder, well, whatever happened to a new pressing plant that we heard was going to be opening in Q1? That's the topic next on our Safe and Sound Texas audio excursion. So as we got close to the end of quarter one of 2023, I started to recall that the announcement of the new pressing plant by Mobile Fidelity Sound Labs, or MOFI, that was put out in 2022, actually June 23rd, a month or so before the MOFI-gate thing hit, stated that they were going to be in production in quarter one 2023. So we're now here and we've ended that quarter. And I don't know that any output has come out of that plant yet. I don't know what the status of the plant is. So I started to do a little bit of research, and I did discover, where it is located in Oxnard, California. And in reading some info that they have put on the website for the new plant, which is called Fidelity Record Pressing, they indicated who was involved on the team there. And I noticed one of the gentlemen there looked familiar to me. And I went back and looked at the RTI site, and sure enough, it's the same gentleman who is kind of the production manager or pressing manager, plant manager, whatever you want to call him at that facility. And he also has such a title at the new Mobile Fidelity pressing plant. So I don't honestly know if that's an evolution where he is moving off into working for this new plant exclusively, or whether it's a shared resource, or what this is. I'm sure that maybe it's a collaboration because RTI, of course, has been pressing a lot of Mobile Fidelity's albums here for years now. So I'm sure that connection is valid and is there, and I can see why it would have some presence. But I really had thought maybe they were kind of starting maybe with a little more of a fresh new staff. Their actual announcement talked a lot about the fact that although this would add volume to the backlog that there is in vinyl, that they really were going to be innovative and that they were going to be taking approaches that really improve the quality. And that may be part of why it's taking longer. It may be partly a cash flow issue because of other situations they've got going on with, let's say, the legal case, or who really knows. I mean, we're kind of getting used to maybe some lack of transparency or lack of really knowing what's going on. But I was encouraged to see they had this website up and did have some information and ability for people to contact them to leverage the facility for potential pressing time, I would imagine. But I did notice that they don't have a phone number yet associated with the facility unless you call 555-555-5555, which is actually not a real number, obviously, and I did ring it to double check. But so I am going to be trying to find some information out a little more on this. I've placed a few calls and try to get an update on where this is, when we're going to see some first outputs out of it. I even would like to get out there and take a tour, see RTI while I'm out there as well, because I know it's of interest to people on this channel. Where's this at? Where are things going? And it's a valid situation. You would think now that they've kind of, I'll say, missed the target they had potentially, or are just going to get going here right close to the end of that target time, they would maybe be coming out with some press release or an update of some kind. And maybe, who knows, it'll be coming here in the near future now that we're into quarter two. But that pressing plant is there in Oxnard. That's about 17 miles or so from where RTI is located. So obviously they're in relatively close proximity to one another to have some of these folks working between the plants possibly and helping out. makes perfectly good sense. And the other one that I'm trying to get some insight on, of course, is the Vinyl Me Please plant that is getting put together in Denver, Colorado. So also trying to get some connections there to be able to check that out as well. Now, the new twist that came here in the last week or two was the Mondo situation, where that company that had put out some kind of unique pressings over the years, that they were acquired by Funko. And a lot of concern about whether or not what that meant. Was that going to mean they were going to change their business model or whatever? And Funko came out with a press release that basically said, quite the opposite. We're going to actually invest, and we are going to ourselves start up a record pressing plant to meet the demands. So that's really good news to see that that is coming along as well. We need more pressing capacity. I think we all remember Jack White even came out and was saying, hey, large-scale corporate companies, why aren't you investing in pressing plants as well? You see where this is headed. You see what's been going on. What's the delay in them getting their toe back in the water, so to speak? But I can say corporate America is very, very careful about making big capital investments when it's not a sure thing. And when there are third parties to do things, outsourcing often is the way they go. Now, you have Analog Productions and Quality Records Pressings in Salina, Kansas with Chad Kassam. He takes a different approach, and I think a smarter approach, and that is he takes the bull by the horns and he says, I'm going to control the pressings and I'm going to control the production, and I'm going to try to bring all these things under my umbrella and control as much as I can. Even to where we talked about the packaging that they have and the uniqueness of it. So, there's two schools of thought as it comes to this. Now, MOFI, of course, trying to start up a plant, they're kind of seeing maybe they need to get better methodologies to control things as well. And that's smart. I think that is, you control your own destiny. And I think when it comes to manufacturing, too many companies have outsourced to the point where it hurts them. And they found this out a lot, of course, in the pandemic when people were not able to supply things. And they also had people who went out of business because of the pandemic. So, you increase your dependencies and your vulnerabilities go up. They exponentiate because the supply chain, you need all the pieces in a supply chain. You could have a product that's ready to go except for, a 20-cent screw, and you can't ship the product. And so the point is, how much you control is very, very critical to getting the work done in a manner that A, is qualitative to the quality you want, is quantitative to the output you want, and that you have flexibility. Because in operations, you need flexibility, enabling you to maybe adjust to the demand of the market on a dime, so to speak. So you can make, let's say, pressing schedule changes much more easily if you're controlling the whole schedule. If you're in the midst of a schedule that's somebody else's and they're doing it and they've already got you slotted, and if you pull out of whatever it is, you're going to go to the end of the line kind of thing. So it's a little bit dicey. And so it's always a variable that has to be managed. And some of these places now saying we're going to take this on, I think, in fact, is smart. Now we get into the big companies, and as I said, I don't think they really want to invest. They outsource that. It may be the reason why, let's say, Universal doesn't have Countdown to Ecstasy out yet for Steely Dan. Can't Buy a Thrill came out November 4th of 2022, right? So let's see, November, that's December, January, February, March, April, 5 months. They haven't released the second one yet. Chad released the second album in mid-December. So, is that a supply issue? Is it maybe a priority issue? Maybe Universal didn't sell as many of the Can't Buy a Thrills as they thought they were going to. And, they've said, well, it's not as much a priority. Don't know. But it is telling that that's the case. But again, they're having it done by Precision up in Canada. So they're going to be basically at the mercy of what their schedule is. And that's how these things go when it comes to pressing plants and manufacturing. So that's just a little bit of an update to discuss where we're at least looking at the fact that, what's going on and some of the situations where we're not really getting these plants online in a time frame maybe that we expected, and finding out what we can do about getting more information to you on the channel about that. So as always, thanks for watching the channel. If you're not a subscriber, I would appreciate if you consider doing that. Press that bell down there. The top one with all gets you notifications. If you hit a thumbs up and a like, I appreciate it much. And comments are always welcome, and I love responding to those as well. So for now, thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time on the Safe and Sound Texas Audio Excursion. Take care, everybody.